Hello and welcome to all in this video lectures series on C programming. We are discussing here a concept of structure. As we know that when we are defining a structure, this is a syntax that we are going to prefer, and as per the basic concept of structure, right? So the structure is going to basically hold the data elements, that is a data of different data types. Which is say the advantage of the structure over an array, right? So whenever we are going to define the structure, right, simply it is going to create a template or format that defines the characteristics of member. And as per the basic syntax, this is first the struct is nothing but a keyword, then the name of the structure that we are going to define, and inside it we are going to declare the various variables which are generally called as what, members of this structure. And what is the speciality? All these variables are going to possess, right, the different data type, right? So the moment at which I am going to declare the keyword struct here, it tells compiler that the structure is being defined, and this is a structure variable which is the most important one that is used to access the elements or the members which are present inside this structure. Okay, so let us consider one simple example. Using structure, create a student's database. It should handle the name of student, roll number, and percentage of two different students. Write a program to assign and display the value associated with the structure members, right? Now here in short what we have to do, we have to create a structure. That structure should handle the details for two different students. Okay, so when I'm going to define or declare the structure, my code associated with structure is as like this. First I'm going to include the header file, then the keyword struct that going to say inform compiler that we are declaring the structure, and then this is what, this is simple the name of your structure, and inside it to hold the name of student I am declaring the nm variable, the string nm. To deal with the roll number, this rn, and to deal with the percentage, this is a per. Now the most important one, right? So here, as we have to deal with two different students, I am declaring here the array of two variables. And just try to get this. This is a s of 2, or even you can declare this in this way, s1 s2 semicolon, or in short what, as the two students details we are going to store, right, means we are supposed to declare this for two different entities. I am supposed to declare the two structure variables. Just try to get this. If we are dealing with a single student detail, or in dealing with only a single entity, then I'm going to declare only one structure variable. But right now I'm dealing with two different, say the students, here I'm going to declare the two different structure variables. Okay, so now here what will happen, just try to get this. So the moment at which I'm going to declare the first string, say the nm of 20, then the rn, and the last one is the per. So let us check out this. What will happen? nm of 20, this is first, then rn second, and per, this is a third one. Okay, but as we are supposed to declare this for two different students, then for second again the same is get, the same template is recreated, I can say. The first is nm of 20, the second one is rn, and third one is a per. And this entire what we call the entity is nothing but what, the elements of a structure are now clubbed together under the heading as what, student. Simple here as what, student. So what will happen, the student is going to hold, in short, such kind of template. Now here you might be clear with a concept of structure variable now, right? So no doubt I am supposed to declare for two students. The student number one, here we are going to consider the student as an example. The details for student number one, and the details for what, simple your student number two. Okay, so what is there in student number one? I am going to store the name, then the roll number, and again percentage, and again for student number 2 I am going to declare the same entity name, roll number, and the percentage. Now we know that, right? So as a human, by reading this I can easily understood that symbol, what is that? I am dealing with the two different students database. But how the compiler came to know that? Because when I'm going to assign a name to a student, right? So the same nm20 nm20 same we are using to assign the values here. For roll number again the same, for percentage again the same, right? So to provide a proper differentiation, this structure variable is very much important. So what will happen, as we are declaring the two structure variables, so first structure variable, as an this is an array, is going to access the first, that is what, s of 0, and the second, these three entities are accessed with second, this is what, s of 1. Just try to get this. So here comes the concept of your structure variable. If I am going to mention here only s, that is a single structure variable, or x as a single structure variable over here, what will happen? Only this much entity comes into a picture. So as we are dealing with two different students, s of 0, this is associated with student number 1, and s of 1 associated with student number 2, right? And we have seen, whenever we are going to access the elements of a structure, how we are going to access that? With a structure variable dot structure member, that is nothing but what, the variable again, structure member, or the, that means the entity which is declared inside this specific, say what we call a structure. Suppose I am going to assign a value to only rn, for only single student. How we return that? In a previous discussion we have seen, if suppose s1 is my structure variable, then it is s1 of ampersand s1 of rn. For percentage, how we have mentioned, percentage s1 dot per, right? As we know that as only single student was there in a previous video session, whatever we had discussion on the introduction to structure, right? As only for one student I can declare this single variable. But now just try to get this. I am going to assign a roll number to the student. So what will happen for that? If I am going to write here simple scanf %d as per our traditional approach rn, what will happen? No doubt, as per the syntax the things are clear, but when the compiler comes at this rn variable, it gets confused. Why? Because right now the two variables are there, the two templates are created. The first template again going to hold the rn variable, and the second template is also going to hold this rn variable. So here the compiler is going to return on the error, means whether to assign value to this first rn or for the second rn. So in that case, if I am going to write in this way, scanf %d comma ampersand s of 0 dot rn, what will happen? Now here, even though the two rn variables are there with me, this is my first rn variable and this is a second rn variable. So out of that, as we know that as the s of 0 is mentioned, so what will happen? The first compiler is going to check for the structure name. Okay, fine, that's a student. So inside it is going to pay attention towards the structure variables, right? So at this instant, as this s of 0 is get matched over here, now by considering this s of 0 dot rn, means the values get assigned to this rn variable. Similarly, if I am going to write here as a s1 s of 1 dot rn, what will happen? The values get assigned to this rn variable. So in this way, suppose if I am dealing with students of say 3 different, or if I am going to mention this s of 0, what will happen? The template, the first template nm of 20, second template again nm of 20, and third template again nm of 20. These three variables are there with me. Second again rn, second again rn, and second again rn, and the third one per, okay. And now what will happen here? The first set, that is the first template, is indicated, or it is accessed with an structure variable s of 0, second is accessed with s of 1, and now the third is accessed with s of 2, okay. And this entire entity, means the combination of all these templates, are clubbed together with a name as what? Simple student. That's it. So this defines the use or the role of your structure variable. If I'm going to write here, say scanf %d ampersand s of 2 dot rn, what will happen? No doubt the rn variable is present in first template, rn variable is present in second template, even the rn variable is present in third template. But now as the s of 2 is mentioned here over this s of 2 is mentioned, so what will happen? As the, let me change the color, as the s of 2 is mentioned here, directly it is going to assign a value to this rn variable by considering this here. Okay, so in this way, or this is what the significance of your structure variable while accessing the values. Okay, now let us see the same implementation in code blocks. So here is the simple code for it. Okay, so as we are supposed to deal with the two students or the two different students, I'm going to declare s of 2 here. So s of 0 is the first variable, s of 1 is the second variable as indicated in a previous slide. Okay, or let me rewrite it. So as the s of 2 is there, the first template. Okay, so what will happen, because of depending upon the structure variable, that many number of templates, I will say this as a template for sake of simplicity, that many number of templates have been created. The first template is going to hold a value nm of 20, second variable is again with the nm of 20, second template, then rn, and then per, and again per. So the first template is going to hold an value that is a simple. So here the s of 0 is going to work as a structure variable, and this is a s of 1. As we have defined here an array, and we know that when I am going to declare an array, the first element is always having the index value as a 0, and this entire combination, or the collectively, it is known as simple structure. Okay, and the name of this structure is what? The name of the structure is simply student. Right, in this way. Right, so here when I'm going to declare this s of 2, these are the activities that generally or virtually we will say for sake of simplicity might be get carried out. Okay, now the first, as the two variables I am supposed to assign, so here I am going to declare first one variable I, then using for loop. So here enter the name of student. So just take this s of I dot nm. What is the value of I? The value of I is a 0. So what will happen? S of 0 dot nm. So the moment at which I am going to write here s of 0 dot nm, so what will happen? The first compiler is going to communicate with this structure variable, which is that structure variable, it is s of 0, and inside this s of 0 it is going to access this name, that is nm variable. Okay, so whatever value that here I am assigning, that is get assigned to this first nm variable. But now just try to get this nm of 20 variable is present, that is nm with 20 bytes I can say. Okay, so here simple consider for sake of simplicity as a nm. nm is present in first template as well as the nm is present into second template too. But now as depend upon this structure variable, the values get assigned to first nm only. Right, now second, for the next, what is there here? S of I dot rn. So I value is 0, so s of 0 dot rn, and what is that? This variable is get access. Then again s of I dot per. So third variable, which is that this variable. Right, now the value of I is again get incremented by 1. So now in short what we will say, we are assigning a value to first student, and which are this value? The name of student, roll number, and the percentage. Now the second value of I is get incremented by 1, so now the value of I is s of 1. So here the s of 1 means this specific structure variable is accessed. So s of 1 dot name, s of 1 dot rn, and s of 1 dot per. So in this way the values are get assigned here. Right, now the next routine is to display the name. Right, so here s of I dot nm, so again the value of I is 0, so s of 0 dot nm. So whatever the name that we have assigned to this s of 0 dot nm to this variable, that get displayed on the output screen. then s of I dot rn. So what will happen? This variable values get displayed, and then s of I dot pa, this variable values get displayed. So in this way, similarly, when the value of I is get again incremented by 1, the new value will be 1. So s of 1 dot nm, so s of 1 dot nm is this, s of 1 dot rn is this, and s of 1 dot pn is this. So these values are displayed on the output screen there. So let us cross check that with a simple execution. So s of I dot nm, so the value of I is 0, right? So the first name I am going to enter a b c d, just put enter, go with next. पप्पा तुम्ही जेवून घ्या जरा, मी ते रेकॉर्डिंग करावलंय. So let us see this code program now with execution. So now I'm dealing with a stepwise execution. So first s of I dot nm, so I'm going to enter the name a b c d. Suppose this is the name of first student. Then the roll number, say roll number is 56, and again the percentage, right? So the percentage I'm going to put as say 82.30. Okay, so this is for the first. Then again for second I'm going to put, so here for second say x y z, this is the name of first student. Then the roll number of student is, suppose it's a 45, and then the percentage of student is say 80.25, right? And the moment at which I am dealing with now the next execution, right? Here just check out, the first student name is get displayed. Then for the next step, his entered percentage. Right now what we did here, simple. Here the first name is ABCD, the first student's roll number is 56, right? So ABCD 56, and now this is what, 82.30, right? Again the next, what is there, XYZ, here the 45, and now the last is what, 80.25. So in this way we had entered the details for two different students, and whatever these details are there, the same details I am going to display here. Okay, so just check out this. Okay. So in this way I am getting this as an output of my structure. So what we did, simple, we had created a structure. In that structure we took the values for two different students. The first student details again reprinting, the second student details again we are reprinting. Okay, so that's the end. Fine. Suppose the number of students are get increased, instead of now relying on the 2, if I am supposed to deal with a more than 2. So for sake of understanding, let us consider we are supposed to take the details of 5 different students. So simple, I am going to change here the structure variable and the number of times that I am going to run this loop. Okay, so I get this as a 5. Now just re-execute this. So simple, the name of first student I will say as a A11, B11. Okay, say the roll number is 1, percentage say 60.23. For second student A22, 2, 56.39. Third A33, B33, say the roll number is 5, 89.3, somewhat like this. Then A44, B44. Then here again say roll number is 8, the percent is 78.9, and last A55, B55. Then suppose its roll number is say 7, and the output is say the percentage I will put as 89. Suppose 56. Okay, so here the first student A11, second student A22, third A33, A44, A55. These are the 5 different student details. And the moment at which I am going to enter, what is happening? I am getting all these details together here. So what is that? Name of first student, his detail, the name of second student, his detail, name of third student, his detail, name of fourth student, his detail, and the name of fifth student and his detail. So in this way, as per our requirement, we can customize this program by using structure, in which the structure variable plays a very important role. and this is having the significant use when we are creating a database of a different entities which possess the different data type